Hello and welcome everyone. It's 6 o'clock and it's time for Conversations with Christina and the Heart of Self-Mastery. So please welcome everyone for taking time out to join us tonight. There's three beautiful women tonight, Susan Flueck, Colette Freeman, and myself.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
So let me tell you a little bit about Conversations with Christina. I have a great life, and part of my great life is that I have great, fantastic, awesome conversations with people. And often in those conversations, I talk about amazing things, and I often think like, wow, wouldn't other people love to be in on this juicy conversation? And so I wanted to support other people by helping them to be part of this conversation, to be in on these really juicy conversations. And so I have started a YouTube channel and Conversations with Christina, which we'll be posting this to after, and I'll have other guests as well as we go on. So welcome everyone who's joining us on Facebook tonight. A little bit about me. So my name is Christina Bianchini. I'm a registered professional counselor here in Prince George, BC. And on top of that, I am a facilitator. I lead workshops, and I am passionate about anything that intersects psychology and quantum physics and spirituality. And I am just delighted tonight to be joined by these two women and introduce them one at a time. So first of all, Susan Flueck. And Susan Flueck is a dear, dear friend of mine. She is a healing practitioner. She has tremendous insight, a divine connection. And I would love for Susan just to say a little bit more about who she is and what she does.
Thank you, Christina. And I can't see all the people that join live, so for all the loved ones, I can feel the light. I just want to say hello and holding space for everybody here, and hopefully going to be capturing the experiences that people want to hear information on. I came through traditional education for those that know me, and then I had an awakening. And in the awakening, it's been a process to live my truth. And my truth is to help others and lead others to unfold and live from their divine truth through the art of remembering who they are, through the heart of self-mastery. And the heart of self-mastery really is just knowing thyself. And that's the journey for us all on this earth school that we're on. And I'm excited to be a part of this talk with you, Christina, and Colette, who's a beautiful energy practitioner and a business owner here in Prince George. And I'm excited to see what's going to unfold tonight. I'm just trying to sit in the unknown, and what is going to unfold through me as the conduit. I'm excited to see what happens.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. And Susan offers private sessions for anyone who is interested. So I'll post more information about that after. And so also joining is Colette Freeman. So Colette Freeman is an angel therapy practitioner. She is the owner of Enjoy Studio Boutique, a healing spa in Prince George. And I don't know, what I know about Colette is that she just brings this effervescent joy and love with her wherever she is. So
true story.
Say a bit more about you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Christina. This is awesome. And it is, I can't see anybody, so that's really kind of unique. And I do own Enjoy Studio Boutique, so many of you might have seen me there if you've been in. And I offer angel readings. I've been working with the angelic realm for over 20 years now. And so it's just always expansive and always loving and always brings me back to a really safe, wonderful place. I'm a big proponent of asking for support, and I'm always knowing you are always going to get it. So, that's just huge. I love to share that with people and teach people how to connect and how to ask and how to receive and put themselves in the receiving mode to really align with love and bring in their angels, bring in love, source, spirit. It's an amazing way to live. So thank you.
It sounds delicious, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. I love those words, you guys, juicy and delicious. I'm going to put that in my I am statement. I am juicy and delicious.
You are.
I'm going to take that one.
Absolutely. So welcome. We have about, there's quite a few people who have joined tonight. So one of the things that I just wanted to note, like to let everybody know, because we did on March 30th, we did a call and it was a meeting style. So we saw everybody on the screen. And this time we've chosen to go to a webinar format, which means your video isn't going to be shown. We did this so that we could also be streaming this to Facebook at the same time. And we just wanted to make sure everybody's privacy was really intact. That was really important to us. So you won't have your video shown. However, there's some really cool features with Zoom. And so if you look at the very bottom, there's a couple buttons that I want to just really bring your attention to. So one of those is the Q&A button. And so at any moment, if you have a question, and we'll stop periodically for all of us or one of us, you can just type your question into the Q&A bar, and we will take that up and answer it. One of the things about this conversation is that it is organic, and we would love for you to be a part of it. And so we are going to just stop periodically, because who knows, your question might take us to a really different, deeper place. There's a synergy that's happening with all of our energy on this together, and we really want to be reactive and responsive to that. So that's the Q&A button at the bottom. The other button at the bottom that's really great is the chat button. Okay, so the chat button there, if you want to just send a message or you want to make a comment, just like Kim did, or to everybody laughing at our juicy and delicious talking, feel free to write something there in, hi Kim, feel free to add something there. So you can send a message to all of us, or just to the panelists, or just to somebody individually on the panel. So you have a couple options there. So that's a great way as well to stay engaged. Okay. And Facebook family, if you do make some comments, it's harder for us to be responsive to them, but I've engaged my wonderful brother. He's actually monitoring that. And so he's going to send and text me some questions. So I'll check in on that as well, because we just really want everyone here together on this call. So why this call now? And what do we mean when we say the heart of self-mastery? So for those of you who joined us on our first call, the heart of self-mastery is a process of really learning about mastering the self. It's our relationship with ourselves. And also perhaps our divine connection, like the heart of self-mastery, really getting in touch with our hearts and living from our hearts instead of our heads. And Colette and Susan and I have joined together to put on a program in October, and that's part of that program. It really is about the heart of self-mastery. And so why now? Because I think now more than ever, we're being called to take a look at who we want to be in the middle of what is happening in the world. Who do we want to be? We have the ability to choose this experience. And how we respond to what is happening right now, I believe, is often indicative of how we respond to our lives in general. So this is a really wonderful moment for us to be learning. We have our own laboratory, so to speak. We get to look at ourselves, we get to learn, and we get to grow. And so before I get Colette and Susan to start to talk a little bit about their perspectives on that, I want to tell you a little bit about what I've been reflecting on. When I started talking about the heart of self-mastery and about really being able to choose our experience from here, I did need to take a moment to think about whether or not I was coming from a very privileged position in being able to say that. Mm. And you know what? It is true. I have not experienced, wage loss. I have not experienced death or illness in anyone close to me. And so there is a chance that there is privilege in me saying, I'm going to choose to take this time to deepen my spirituality and to learn from this. However, even if that is true, even if I am coming from a privileged position, I thought, what if I was in that position? What if I was in the position where I had lost my job, or I had lost a dear person? The answers for me would be exactly the same. I would be doing exactly the same things. I would still be looking at myself. I would still be loving myself. I would still be taking my spiritual practices to the next level. So I just want to invite all of you, regardless of whatever position you're in, based on the current climate in the world. I think we all have this opportunity to step into love, to step into mastering ourselves, our relationships with ourselves. Because for me, there's no greater time than when I'm on my knees to really learn about me and about what I want. So Susan, do you want to talk a little bit about focusing on, who you were being and your ability to choose in this experience?
Sure. I don't know, there's probably a number of people that may not have been on the first call, so, or may have been. There might be a little bit of a repeat here. I just first want to acknowledge Tanya Home. Thank you very much for the beautiful message. It's what you wrote there in the chat. So thank you. I did just read it briefly, scan through it as Christina was talking. So thank you very much for sharing what is happening in your perspective. Just further to what Christina says, one thing I know for certain, and this has probably been my saving grace, that the universe is working for us, not to us. And if we hold that in mind, in the beings that we are, we don't know the bigger picture. We're like if you imagine that you're looking through a funnel like this, and we're down here in the third dimension, the funnel is way down here. So we really don't have the wide perspective when we're in it. But there is more playing out and holding faith. And for me, faith is trust without exception, without reservation, that I trust and that there's a knowing in my heart space that the world that's coming, I really don't know what it looks like because it's unknown. I've never experienced anything like it. But what I do know on the game board that I'm on, I'm in a game of duality. And I know my thoughts create my reality only 100% of the time. Mm-hmm. So in that, knowing that, and I get to choose, and I said in the last call, it's a choice point because we have a split mind. And the choice point of whether I'm going to choose an egoic thought, which is fear, separation, and projection, or I'm going to choose spirit, which is love, unity, and healing. And that's my thought. That's my free will. I get to choose how I'm going to see it. And you touched on something, Christina, which I think is so important for all of us that are being asked to take a pause. And I was going to wear a different shirt today, and it was actually butterflies on the shirt, and I completely forgot. But we are in a chrysalis of transformation. And how we choose to transform in this chrysalis is our choosing through our free will. Mm-hmm. Because who do we want to be? Who do we want to create while we're in this experience? Who am I going to be in the midst of all this to come to know myself? And then who is it that I want to become? Who is on the other end of this experience? Because this experience, although we don't know what it looks like, we do know there is, like anything, it's a wave, the sine wave. We're going to come out of this and there's going to be a new experience, a new existence for humanity and a new existence for us individually. Mm-hmm. And who is it that I want to be? How am I? And I know me, I'm the divine. I'm saying I want to embody, not want to be. I am embodying the divine mother of celestial light. And my journey here is to help others discover their divine truth and their purpose through the heart of self-mastery. But I must master myself first.
Yes. That word embody is so important, Susan. Can you say a little bit more? When you say I am embodying, you changed. You were like, I will be to I am embodying. How important is that switch that you made there?
Well, it is because it is a conscious choice to stay vigilant, to be it. And to be anything, you hold the vibration. In our world, in the 3D construct that we live in, it's made up of energy, vibration, and frequency. That's it. And it demonstrates in many different areas and into form. One side is light, which is information. The other side is sound, vibration. That then is the energy frequency that comes into form in this 3D reality that we each create for ourselves. And there's also a collective reality that's playing out. But we get to be it in every moment. And the only way to be it is you embody the vibration of that which you want to be. I can't be in a lower vibration of hate and anger and projection in the other person, and then yet want to be the divine light that I say I am.
Mm-hmm.
And back, I think, I don't know if I said this in the first call, but this is another thing that I'm living by in the moment, the I am statement. The I is the God in you, the God in me, the God in everybody on this call, and the God in every single being that lives on this planet is the I. Within us, we hold the spirit of the universe within us. And that's a label. I said God, but that could be whatever that means for you. It could be source, it could be light, it could be consciousness. It's only a label, but the essence is the same. And the M is give me. That's what God give me, source give me, and then ... whatever that is for you. For me, I am living my most abundant, divine, magnificent life, being the divine mother of celestial light, leading others to unfold their divine truth. But I have to make it every day, and I fall from grace all the time. You can ask my son and my husband how much I fall from grace.
Right.
Because, oh, let me tell you, but when I do, I just do a reflection and recognize that I fell from grace. And grace to me is only when you embody the highest frequency in the moment.
Mm.
That's it. I embody it. So let's say I'm getting triggered by someone at work. And right now, let me tell you, we're all getting triggered. Fear is coming up and old wounds are coming to the present moment. And when we can hold ourselves in a conscious state of being aware and being in grace, and even though the beautiful soul in front of us is causing an energetic charge in our field, we have our free will and sovereignty, which is power and authority, to choose how we respond.
Mm-hmm.
And do we go back into the old patterning, or do we embody and choose grace in the present moment to choose our highest vibration? And every day I make that choice. I'm going to choose that, and I stand in it a lot of times, and sometimes I fall from grace, but I just say, okay, I just fell from grace. I'm going to get another opportunity to practice. And I don't beat myself up. I just continue back on the journey.
And I think that's so important what you're just saying. I don't beat myself up.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I am at the effect of a reaction to somebody or at the effect of a trigger, I think it's so important to observe yourself and notice yourself versus going into judgment of self. Because when we go into judgment of self, we beat ourselves up, we only lower our vibration even more.
100%.
And I think what's actually important here is, I know you briefly touched on vibration, and if we're going to keep talking about vibration, I think it's important that we give a little bit of an overview. So I'll say a little bit about my perspective on it, and maybe the two of you can as well.
Sure. Okay.
So different, mostly for me, it's about different feelings. Different feelings hold different vibrations. And things like, for me, love and hope and gratitude have a much higher vibrational frequency than things like hate and fear. And so when we talk about raising our vibration, you can look at, like, Abraham Hicks has their 22, I think, or 23 emotions that go from like the lowest vibration to the highest vibration. And I know when I'm in a higher vibration, I am in a more higher vibrational coherence. What do I mean by that? So vibrational coherence means my heart and my mind are in harmony. When I go into fear, when I go into hatred, I literally close my heart in that moment because I am in self-protection. And I am just going into my mind, into my fight or flight response. And I am no longer really have that ability to choose. So you said, Susan, like, there's a space there where I get to choose my response. And if I am in some of these lower vibration and frequency emotions, it can be difficult to pull myself out. I kind of react before I even have that chance to pause. So in terms of vibration, do you guys have anything else you would add in terms of high vibration, low vibration?
I think in terms of what I mean, scientifically, when they speak of vibration in brain waves, they reference it as hertz, which is only cycles per second. And that's how fast one cycle. So here's one cycle. So how many times it happens in a second. And so our brain waves are done that way. So we go from, you know, delta when we're sleeping, and then we go up into theta and alpha, what is it? Alpha, beta, no, beta, alpha. So the next one's alpha, then up to beta, which is our conscious mind. That's how the energy works as well. It's just how fast the energy is oscillating back and forth and how quickly it goes per second. That's what I know it to be, and what you said. And if anyone's interested, they can look at the work of Dr. David Hawkins, because he developed a map of consciousness. And it's a logarithmic scale at 10 times 10 to a number of 30, which is shame and guilt, and goes all the way up to 10 times 10 to 1,000. And then the threshold is 200, and below 200 is force, and above 200 is power. So as you said, we want to stay holding the vibrations at the higher frequencies, because when you hold it, it only produces a different experience. You get experiences equal to your vibration. There is a resonance match that happens to you in your experience of now. And the experiences are coming into you, but it is all, I have to say this part, which is critical for all of us as we're transcending here. It is all for us to learn to love.
Mm-hmm.
And when anything that shows up, it's just an absence of it.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's in fear that's showing up, it's showing you an absence of love.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I said before, fear is false evidence appearing real. It is always anything that's coming up in our experience that is seen as an obstacle. This is all happening for the collective. It's all for our humanity. And we can look at it from a negative perspective or a lower vibration, but it is intended, I believe, in my belief, that the universe is happening for us. It's intentionally done to help raise the collective vibration back to love.
Mm-hmm.
And each of us individually have to make that choice, because we think locally and or we act locally and think globally.
Mm-hmm.
What we do with each of us in the moment is changing our vibration, but let me be clear what's happening. It is changing the collective vibration for the entire Schumann's resonance, which is a hertz, again, a cycles per second that exists around the earth. Every one of us, we interplay, it's a spider web.
Mm-hmm. We're all connected, right? And for those of you who want to do some more Googling Schumann's resonance, SCHUMANN, it measures the collective energy of the earth, essentially.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
Colette, I feel like this is a really good segue, because she was talking a lot about love, and so I'm like, and vibration. So, yeah. So, what is your take when we talk about vibration? Like, what do you think of that?
Well, for sure, I am the feeling person, right? And I always attribute it to feeling. And in my body, anything that gets lower tends to constrict.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the higher I go on the emotional scale, the more expansive or relaxed or open I feel.
Mm-hmm.
So, in this process that we've been going through, I think, we've really shifted from, the shock of this kind of COVID situation, right? COVID-19 and what that brought for us. And we were just kind of all running around, kind of, what do we do? Let's follow the rules. And now I'd love to hear what everybody else feels too, but I feel like we've kind of passed that.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're moving into something else, but we're still exploring what is this looking like. And I really need, and I encourage us all just to really become a master of our thinking, right? Because our thoughts, it's so palpable, it's so quick that when we start to go down, maybe we're on a news channel and we're reading about something, and we feel it in our bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're feeling a little bit more constricted. We start to feel a little worried. What if that's true? How is that going to be? What's going to happen? And your body will literally constrict. So, I encourage you to just play with that, right? I think everybody kind of does it a little bit differently, but those of us that are super sensitive and tuned in, I think all of us here and probably most people on the call will feel that. So the moment that's happening, right, it's like, wait, what am I thinking? What have I been thinking? And so I really, really am tuning into those thoughts. And then I have a new conversation with myself. That's, love is way up there. Joy is way, way up there, right? Fear is down, depression, the lowest, hopelessness, the lowest, right? A lot of people are having all of those feelings right now.
Yes.
And it's just like a roller coaster of feelings, because one day you're okay and it's working, and the next day you're like, oh no, what's going to happen to my job or my family? Or, you know, some people have family members who are really not well, not just from the virus, but just all the things, right? And they're worried about each other. And so when I just really want to come back to, is this the most loving thought I can be thinking right now? Is it the most loving thought for me, for my body, for my experience, for my emotions? Is it the most loving for the people I'm with, if I'm with family? And is it the most loving, you know, as I continue to want to impact, right, those people that are around me with a more loving thought? I have to take care of that, right? Move up my thoughts and vibrations. So just to go with that, that's the vibration piece. When I get stuck in that, and I do, I go to my tools, right, to start to work out how I can kind of tune in. How can I raise that higher and higher? And often I don't just get to shut it off. Sometimes I have to really tend to the big fear that's coming up. But that for me is vibration. It's really about how I'm feeling in my body and the thoughts that I'm thinking and the things that I'm believing. And it is so strong, like it never lies. It just never lies. You always know where your
body
at.
knows, right? Your body knows.
Body knows.
I agree with you
Absolutely.
on that, right?
Yeah.
You feel it. You feel the way that, you know, even when we talk about vibration, I can actually feel the way my body vibrates.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. And people that are sensitive really feel it. And those that are just learning, we all have it, this tool. The only thing for, I think, those of us that are practitioners doing this work, we have quieted the noise of the mind to be able to observe and hear the messages of the body. The body does not lie. The body is only the subconscious mind and the unconscious. So it really is. And we just have to live in that space.
It takes practice. Hey,
Yes.
like it's practice, practice, practice.
Yeah. And you said a couple things which are really important when you said, you know, it is the question, what would love do in the moment? When we're going to agitation, to read just centered in the moment of the pause before we go to the reaction. There is the pause when an event happens. And then when we sometimes, because we're what I call arrested development back into a wound, we just go drop right back in. And then it doesn't matter to the universe when you get it, by the way. The universe doesn't care if you got it right in the moment, if you got it after. The universe is just, you got it. You got it. It does not matter. And the other thing that I think is really important to be in, it's okay to be in the discomfort and the uncertainty of what we're going through right now. It's just to feel it. I keep saying about the storyline. The storyline that's playing out for each of us is a storyline. It is the juice, and the important growth happens in feeling the emotion that is being presented by the experience that is unfolding for you right now, because that is the depth of where you really get to heal and to honor that, whatever it is. And if you've fallen off the rails and you've just lost it, be with the feeling, no judgment. I had one of those the other day, unglued. I didn't, my old pattern, by the way, used to be to beat myself up because I'm supposed to be the spiritual practitioner. So I just go in this whole beating myself up. And what I'm learning now, it's the balance. It's the neutrality. Whatever's happening in the moment, it is what it is. Accept what is. So if I lost it and swore at my kid, which I do many times, whatever that is, that I don't hold myself at what I believe is my embodiment of my divine self. I just notice what I notice. But I'm stopping to I'm not beating myself up anymore, where that used to be my pattern, because I'm putting a label of who I should be. Now I just accept who I am and where I'm at, and in the vibration of it.
And you can feel it without judging it.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
So we're taught to judge, though, aren't we? I mean, that's a lot of us are raised that way, right? And Christina, you can really probably speak to that, right? Like,
Well, I think there's a difference between
Mhm.
judgment and discernment. I think
Yes,
it's so
yes.
important.
Mhm.
Discernment is saying, this is for me, this is not for me.
Yeah.
I think we are all in a place where we need to be very discerning. That's important. Judgment is qualifying something as good or bad. And the minute that we do that, we are in separation. We are no longer in unity. And so I think what's really important here is to remember it's okay to discern. It's okay to say, I wish I did that differently, right? It's okay to say I was in a wound there. Like, it's okay to have discernment, or this is the right opportunity for me, or whatever that is, without going into judgment.
And for, yeah, what you said there, and what I think is important, because I used to do the shoulda, woulda, coulda a lot. I should have done this, I could have done that. And I now, because it's whatever's happening in the present moment is the highest vibration for me in the moment. And I'm arguing with reality every time I say I shoulda or coulda. I'm arguing with reality, because how do I know that? Because what's freaking happening right now is not what I think should be happening. I've missed the mark, because being able to sit in the experience and know what's happening for me right now is what's meant to be happening. So take whatever that is and the feeling that goes along with it, to be able to sit in that and just be in that moment and be in that experience. And it's all okay. All of it's okay. That's what I want everybody on this call to know. It is all freaking okay. Whatever you're feeling, it's what you're feeling. It's honoring you in the moment.
Right. And if you happen to judge yourself, don't judge yourself for judging yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's just get off that hamster wheel.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Colette, I mean, have you, like, how did you learn to step out of judgment of yourself and others?
No, I haven't.
What?
Oh yeah, wouldn't that be amazing?
Wouldn't it?
Yeah, that.
You
Oh,
do
my
that.
goodness.
You got to tell, because there are you said, wouldn't that be amazing? And I guarantee there's been moments
Yes, there
when
has.
you
There has,
have,
yeah.
when you have just held the space, because I see you do it for others. You may not see it. I've seen many times when you just come in and you just hold the love. With there is no judgment. When you see others in pain and hurting, you just come in and love. The energy of love. I've experienced it many times.
Thank you. Thank you for that feedback. That's just wonderful. That's my highest intention for sure. And I think to go along with that, you know, my own self, questioning myself, second guessing myself, is, you know, that self-judgment, wishing I had done it differently. This journey to self-love, I mean, I'm still on it. Which, you know, I mean, this is an ongoing, all the time piece. We're gonna be always assessing. You know, I think that's the nature of humanity and coming into this experience, right? Is that we get to be separate. We get to see, oh, we look different, or, you know, we have different qualities and attributes. And is that a better way to be, or is that a lesser way to be? You know, and you know, I think this is the point, maybe, Susan, that you're trying to make, is that it is all good. Nobody's saying, listen, if you're sad or angry or raging, that's bad. And if you're, you know, up here in love, that's good. And that's how it should. That's not what we're saying at all. Yeah. I feel all of those emotions. And we just know what I feel like is that when I'm having the more constricted emotions, you know, if I'm in deep sadness or I'm raging or I'm angry or those sorts of things, I can't just shut it off. It doesn't happen that way. I don't just go from that to bliss in a second. I have to work my way, right? In whichever way I do it. I'm a big proponent of journaling. I think that's just wonderful and huge. And I always ask for grace. I always ask. I just, you know, angels, please just surround me, right? So I feel definitely held while I take some time. And now I'm learning how to put more of those pieces into place. And I think, you know, many of us are mothers or fathers, or we're taking care of people. Maybe we have other, you know, parents that we take care of, or siblings, and we're always caring for, and really learning how to do this piece where we really care for ourselves and honor all of those bits and pieces, because that's part of the whole experience.
Mm-hmm.
And to become, and I think this is something that I have learned and am learning how to mother my own self, enough, and to ask for what I need from other people, and not just ask, but like say, you know what, this is how I need it right now. Are you available to help me with this? Right? Could you just hold me? Could you just, in whatever it is, I'm feeling really freaked out, or to call that person. And then I want to just, because the whole point is those feelings, we have to work through them, but they don't feel great. We want, to me personally, I want to move up. I want to move back to harmony. I just do. I enjoy it there. I have a lot of fun there. Right. And here's the thing is depending on the vibration we're at, right? We are having a completely different experience. I believe that we shift dimensions, right? When we shift vibration. And that is why we can have several different people. And if they're having a different experience, a different vibration, a different emotion, they're having a different outcome also. So, that's for me why it's important to me. It's important that even for my family, but for me personally, as I take care of myself, everybody else around me has a different experience also. So I see that global, like you said, Susan, you local to global, right? Yeah. I see it just immediately. I can make the difference in a room by what I choose. Yeah. And that's maybe that's what you're speaking to, right? That's the energy I like to hold. It's just heart-centered vibration, because there's nothing that needs to change. It's okay. We're safe.
And you touched on something which is interesting, because you said what just got in my head was the color wheel. And Christina and I had a meeting on Saturday about something, and the color wheel came up. But even in life, we're all different colors, and we're all in the same world, but we're all having our unique experiences based on the hue and the vibration. Yeah. And that we're holding. It's all our unique experiences, and everything that's coming in is based on the energy, which is light, and the vibration. And I wanted to talk about that for 1 minute, because I believe it's really important when I talk about the vibration, because words are vibration. So important. And in this world we live in, I believe that everything in vibration, it goes into the Akashic records. For those that don't know what the Akashic records are, they're every experience that's ever happened in the universe gets put into a storage bank, a database. So our words is a vibration, and once they're spoken, or thought is the same, a thought or a word is a vibration that goes into the Akash. And for any experience that you want to create, your vibration of the words that come out, it's a resonance that holds into the field of this beautiful plasma that we live in. And that is so important to be aware. And if you want to know how you are in the world, start paying attention to your language and the words that you use. If you say things like I can't, or I won't, or you go to the negative, it's a vibration. We give words labels. We give many things labels in our world, in our construct, but they're just labels. It's the vibrations that it holds is the deeper truth. Because that's indicative of what is being created in your own individual world, and then also our world as a collective.
So I just noticed, thank you for adding that, question from both Michelle and Jewel, very similar questions. So I think that would be really good for us to pause.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm going to give my slant on that the answer. So essentially what the question is around is I can be in a place of keeping my vibration high. How do I essentially keep it high around others that have a lower vibration? Or how do I support others to raise their vibration, essentially? So I'd say the first thing is it's really difficult sometimes, because I've been there before. I remember being at a party before, and someone was like, ugh, those people have such low vibration, and they were like, I have to get away from them. And I thought, is that really high vibration energy to be judging that place. Thank you, John. He's saying, see everyone in their divine innocence. And absolutely. So the minute that I go into judging someone with a low vibration, I've actually lowered my vibration.
Right.
Yeah, you're in
Just
separation.
honor wherever they're at. Like, you know, keep your eyes on your own self and focus on that. And then for me, it's really about being the beacon, right? So that I don't have to drag people to a certain place or tell them, oh, you know, I've also seen people sort of on the path to enlightenment. As soon as they kind of figure stuff out, they tried to tell everybody else what they should be doing. Oh, that's a negative thought. That's a low vibration thought. Like, it's just lovely how they start going around, right, and doing all of
Like a
that.
reformed smoker,
Right, yeah. And so I just think it's so important to get to a place of, okay, I'm going to be the beacon. I don't have to drag people. I don't have to teach people because I'm taking a superior step. I'm living in separation. Everybody is just an aspect of who we are. If someone is behaving one time in a lower vibration way, number one, it is not bad or good because now we are judging it. Now we are in this other place. It just is. It's just where they're at. And then the second thing is we're assuming that that's not part of who we are. Well, if I can see it, it's part of who I am. Maybe it's not who I am in that moment, but it's definitely been part of my existence at some point. And so if I'm in a situation where I'm surrounded by, like, you know, maybe I do limit my interaction with people who seem to stay in that place all the time. That's just me personally. And what I do though is I want to be the beacon. So I bring as much love. Like before I would, if I knew I was going to enter a situation like that, I would like love myself up even more, like shine my light even brighter and just be in a place of just everything is love. I found myself having the opportunity to sort of be in a conversation over message with people around. There was a disagreement and I felt like I was being maybe attacked in that moment. And I just stepped out of it and just stepped right into, I just said to that person, I love you. I just stepped into that. That was what I could do in that moment to shift that experience, was just step into the I love you. Right? There was no, that's how I encounter those positions because I get to choose who I want to be. So Colette, do you want to add to that? Like how what you do?
Yeah. And I saw that question too. And I really appreciate that question about being with other people because, you know, we're just right in our families often, right? And having different discussions, and especially with what's been going on most recently, everybody's got a lot of different opinions. And I also agree that, you know, if someone else is having this conversation and they're, you know, kind of on a bandstand about how things are, and I can feel my body, right? And do, oh, it's happening here. And what I do also believe is that that's an aspect of me. I'm scared too, right? I can be scared too. I can get to that place. But that's not ultimately what I believe. It isn't what I believe at all. I truly believe, and I've had enough experiences now to believe love does, it rules all. Love and fear can't coexist. And like Christina, like you said, did you bring that in? Love and fear, it can't, fear just dissolves. So when we're tending to some of that, I have removed myself if I can't, you know, I don't know where this came from, but some of you might know it. Wait, WAIT. So someone's talking and then you want to jump in and say something, right? To wait. And it stands for, why am I talking? Right? To ask yourself before you speak, why am I talking? So that you have a moment, a pause to be able to say, okay, is what I want to contribute here helpful? Is it loving? What's my intention behind it, right? So those are some of the tools that I use. Sometimes I do have to take myself away. And I think it is part of self-care to be able to say, you know what, I don't know that I want to carry on this conversation right now the way it's going, right? And those are hard things to say sometimes, right? Like to just, without, you know, we don't want to offend people and all of that, but, you know, if I just keep putting myself into those conversations and really not enjoying myself, I'm the one to make the difference, to pull myself out of it, or, you know, if there is something I can contribute that is loving or helpful, I would do that.
Well, I think what you're talking about is also having good boundaries.
Yes.
And, you know, boundaries are an act of self-love. And if I can say, hey, like, I can see that you're distressed right now, and, you know, I don't have the capacity to support you. Like, you know, that's okay to say, because what's in the highest good for one is in the highest good for all, right? So if I choose to love myself in that moment by setting a loving boundary, like, you can do set boundaries in a very loving way that, you know, says, hey, I can really see that you need something here, or I can see that you're really passionate about this piece, this, you know, point of view, or whatever that is, and I can't continue this conversation. I think that's really important.
Yes. And to be able to give ourselves permission to do that, right? And that's something I think that's a skill to practice. And, you know, I think we've heard that. The more we hear it, the more we are create people in our lives that do practice that, right? That we can have those kinds, then it makes it a little bit easier when we do have to say it in another area that might be uncomfortable. Like we have to say it to, you know, our mother or our brother or our, you know, whatever it might be, when there's someone really strong or, you know, has been maybe a bigger energy or force than we feel a little uncomfortable with. It's practice again, right? Practice.
It sure is. And one of the things that I often support my clients with is just constantly asking, like, what do I want? What do I need? Right. And, you know, you can start, sometimes practice comes from, and I know right now we're in a bit of a different, you know, time in our lives in terms of, like, you know, it's about being able to say, hey, you know what? I asked for no pecans on my salad. Can I get a salad without pecans? Like, I just find so many people even have a hard time, like, oh, I'll just take this coffee that isn't made to order the way that I asked for it. Because those are the smaller places sometimes where it's easier to practice boundaries, and just, you know, in a loving way. And just notice, you know, what I notice is when I start to set boundaries, people are like, okay. And meanwhile, I've been terrified. I'm like, oh, if I set a boundary here, they're going to hate me and they're going to go away. And that's the thing, is that, you know, I've spoken before, is that we often trade our authenticity for connection. So we're so afraid of speaking up for ourselves and what's most loving for us, because we're afraid we're going to lose the connection with the other, that we just say yes. But we end up building resentment and lowering our vibration anyway.
Absolutely.
Susan, did you want to add to this conversation about how to hold the vibration?
So I live by 3 truths now in my world. So one is, if it's happening to me, I created it. So the other one is, nobody out there but my reflection. And the third one is, if I'm taking it personal in any form, I'm in a wound. So if I'm going, and let's say someone is there I'm having an experience with somebody, and right away I can see that I'm putting a judgment or a separation. So it's a judgment stating they've gone to a low vibration. Then I recognize, what is that within? I try to recognize, don't always, because judgments come in, obviously, because I'm on this earth school like everybody else, and I can be quite a judgy pants. That I recognize that wait a sec, what is it saying about me in this moment? And the other thing that I have found effective, Bill, I see, is on here, the Ho'oponopono prayer, which is a Hawaiian problem-solving process. And if you're triggered in anything, it's really something about you. So you just have to say these 4 statements: I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. And if you want to look that up, there's a whole history about this Hawaiian problem-solving process that's very effective. The other thing I do when I see that part in another, I hold gentle compassion, because I remember when I lived there. I remembered when I lived there, and I did exactly that, and could not see my way out of that box. And then, so just to hold the experience in love. It's not the judgment that I'm better than because of where that person is at. It's just gentle compassion, because you don't know until you know. And
That's very true.
Yeah.
Wow. And, you know, I think that offering compassion versus judgment is raising the vibration.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I see somebody in my life who's having a bad day, or they're being grouchy, instead of saying, like, why are you so grouchy? You know, or get snappy at them, I just say, oh, wow, like, looks like you're having a rough day.
Yeah.
Right? Like I drop to that place where I'm just loving them.
Yeah.
Right? This seems like this is really hard for you.
And like further,
yeah.
go ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
So the one part that people do, I don't know about you guys, and I think this is a pattern I learned, which I'm trying to break. There's a difference with holding space versus leaning in to try to fix. And many of us try to, I'm guilty right here, fixing everybody else's life at the expense of my own. It is one thing just to hold space and allow someone to have their process, but we don't have to fix it. And knowing it's their process, we're just going to hold space. I'm going to love you unconditionally, whether you are the biggest dick today, or whether, you know, you're going to be yelling at me, or whether you show me all the love in the world. I just want you to know I'm just going to sit here and hold space.
We step into fixing though, because we are uncomfortable within our own self. So we try to fix the external world to make up for the unsettledness that is actually happening in here. And so in that moment when I am triggered, or I see someone else who's triggered and I want to fix, the most important thing I can do in that moment is to go to that place of observation and love for myself. What's happening inside of me? Why is their upset, right, impacting me so greatly? So there's actually information there for me to go inside.
Yeah, 1 second. And that is, so the infinity sign, I see this all the time, the giving and receiving. So we're always having a holy relationship with another. So, you know, the premise of our heart of self-mastery we talk about is to know thyself. That was written in the Oracle of Delphi, and then all the gods in Egypt said the same thing, to know thyself. And we know ourselves through relationship with other. And it's that relationship, it's a holy relationship. So what you give to another, what you extend to another, you accept in self. And what you see in another exists in self, and it's either a blind spot that you can't see, or it's a childhood wound or some wound that you haven't integrated yet, and the universe is giving you an opportunity to do the integration, to raise the vibration, or to shift ourselves out of a certain vibration.
So there's a question that I want to, because you're just talking about wounds that Coral posted, about when I take it personally, I'm in a wound. What steps you take to rise from the wound?
Well, so that's back to, I think I said earlier about being staying conscious, being right here, right now in the present moment, because that's where the action happens. Nothing changes. Most of us, we've got stuck in our little 3D reality of focusing on the past, reminiscing about the past, or trying to predict the predictable future from our past thoughts. But when you're in the present moment of now, it is just experiencing what's happening. You don't have to do anything. So, when I am in a wound, and then sometimes I go back into the subconscious patterning in the wound. So let's say I'm going to give an example with my son where I've lost it and I've been not at my most high vibration self. Then I go back and redress it when I become aware that I was unconscious. And this is what I will do. I'll go to him and say, you know what? I don't like the way I handled that. I went into my 4-year-old self, and we've named all my subpersonalities, Bitchy Bertha, you know, and I've named his, right? Sassy Susie. We've named them to make somewhat light of it, but we recognize those subconscious aspects of self. And then I go back to Alexander and I'll say, okay, you know what? I just saw wounded Wanda just came out, so I want to redress that. So I'll actually go back and do a redo from my adult mind.
That's perfect. That's great.
And then how do you go forward? Because possibly what Coral, and she could clarify, that trigger may come up over and over, or that wound comes up over and over.
And you know what's interesting, because the charge of the wound initially is very, very strong. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I know when I'm in an arrested development state, and what happens, there is a physical sensation on the body. And then I feel the feeling like I'm either about to explode. Everybody's different to what the sensation is. Some of us withdraw in our closets, our internal closets, whatever that is. The sensation is so powerful, you can't control it. So the next time, it's not as powerful. And then every time that we stay and hold grace in the present moment, the charge dissipates a little bit more. And as we continue, next thing you know, there's no charge. And sometimes I think it was you, Colette, that says you do something so significant by choosing grace in the present moment. You actually jump a timeline and it's gone forever. We talked about that the other day. Remember, Colette, when you allowed yourself to feel and experience, and then you even asked the question, where is it? Where is it? It's not, what the hell? Where is it? It's not there anymore. What? You jumped a timeline. You jumped a timeline into a new reality. In the moment.
To be clear, it was with a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to think I'm just, I'll get there maybe, right?
Yeah.
But absolutely. And what that means, checking where is it was just like when I thought the thought again that I was thinking that kept triggering me, it was gone. I was thinking about it, I was trying to find it and it was gone.
Yeah.
And I, sometimes I've worked really hard to move through some things and they just seem to hang on a little longer than I'd prefer. But I really believe there's this beautiful divine timing. And, the moment I set the intention, and for Coral too, to heal a wound, right? The moment for everybody, the moment I set the intention to heal this, I want to feel better. I want to see this with love. I'm not right now. I'm caught up in the story. I'm caught up in my wound past. Whatever happened, I don't even know exactly where it came from. Not important really in that moment. I just know that once I've asked, once I've set the intention, momentum is gaining. And it might not be today, and maybe I'll do a little bit of it. It might not be tomorrow. Maybe I'll have a few days of a reprieve, but then it comes back again, and here it is. And there is a grace being given. It's like forgiveness is in the process or something. Like it's happening and it's carrying me. And so I still live my life and I still do the things. And I just tend to, when those constricted feelings come up, to pay attention, to go into it. I am a really feeling person. So it's hard for me to do anything else if I'm in a big feeling. I have to tend to it. I don't get a choice. Yeah.
And one thing that what you said, and even before the call, you did it we did a little prayer before the call, but you said, and we can all ask this, is what is the most benevolent outcome?
Yes.
That's your go-to.
It
to bring
really
you back.
is.
And it's huge. And then also John Nightingale just said, this is really important because this works like a charm, is coming back to the breath. If you want to come to the present moment, just come back to the breath, in and out, right here, right now, and just breathe. Take 5 breaths in and out. Just notice the breath. You don't have to go deep. You don't have to go shallow. Just notice the breath. So thank you, John, for that reminder, because that's the big one. Anytime that we're going and taking into the wound. So huge.
I just want to add a little bit to this discussion. So my perspective on if I'm in a wound, I'm taking it personally. It's because I am making what's happening mean something about me. So we all have a number of core beliefs or core wounds, often related to something in terms of I'm not good enough, I'm not valuable, I'm unlovable, I'm powerless, I'm not something enough. And so the minute that something happens in my external world and I interpret it as something personal, right? Then I'm at the effect of that. I'm taking it personally. So I'm going to give you a personal example. There was a time, I just remember this one really stood out because I went through this process that was so healing for me. When I was first dating my partner and he made some plans to go and hang out with his friends. Great. He can have friends. He can do things. Like, I think that's actually really, really healthy. But my body was not reacting that way. I noticed that I had that constricted, tight feeling, usually happens for me in my solar plexus. And so in that moment, I had to stop and realize that I was either doing or saying something to myself, perhaps subconscious or unconsciously in that moment, to create that feeling. So I stopped and I said, okay, so what am I feeling? I am feeling sadness. I'm feeling, okay, so what is this? I am telling myself that, what am I saying? I'm saying to myself that I am being rejected, that I am not good enough to spend time with. And what I understand is that is not my adult self that's saying that, right? That is a younger version of me. So we have something we might talk about a bit more later of state dependent memory, right? So anytime that emotion comes up in the present moment, but I felt that previously, I kind of get sucked right back. So now I'm 4 years old.
Yeah.
And so there I am feeling like nobody loves me. I'm not good enough. I'm being rejected. And so what I realized is I was saying that to myself. And so in that moment, I just leaned in and I was like, oh my goodness, I am so sorry. I apologize to myself. Right? Because my logical mind understood that it was okay to do, like, for him to make plans, of course. But there was a little girl inside of me who still had some healing to do. And so I sat with her and I loved her. I asked her what she needed, and she just needed some attention and some love. And what really came out of this, and I repeat it to myself all the time, is another person's actions has nothing to do with my value.
Yeah,
Whether
love that.
whether
Yeah.
somebody does something or doesn't do something, that is their action. It has nothing to do with my value. And I need to divorce my value from that equation. Because the minute that I include my value in it, I'm going to be in a wound.
Yeah.
So it's so important.
I'm writing that one down again.
Yes. So
Love it.
another person's actions have nothing to do with my value.
Yeah, it's that's yeah, huge.
But what was important in that moment was that I leaned into the feeling. Like I wasn't feeling okay, just like Colette did this last week and just like Susan has done, right? I leaned into the feeling because I need to feel it to heal it. I need to be in that place. I need to meet that part of me that needs me to be there for me and create that safety and that inner attachment and to provide myself what I needed so desperately when I was younger.
Yeah, and
Right?
most people, yeah, most of us didn't get what we needed, the attachment. There's some really good resources around what you're saying too, with the work of Dr. Gordon Neufeld, or the work of Dr. John Bradshaw, who's passed away now, but he's been around on inner child work. I believe what you're talking about, the inner child, our inner child knows why we're here, our purpose, our mission as souls that incarnated here. The answers are there. So when we can integrate and come home to our divine selves through our inner child, that's the divineness of us all. So thank you for that. Is so important. And to reparent, or in some cases to parent that inner part of us that never got parented.
Yep. Yeah, totally.
And Brene, when you said that, it reminded me to think of Brene Brown when she said, and this has always stuck out. I saw her do a video, and the story I'm telling myself is ...
Yeah,
whatever
always,
that is.
always.
I love that. Yeah.
I even do that with couples, right? So,
Yeah.
so whenever like a couple, right, is going to talk to somebody else, they understand everything is a story. We assign a meaning to everything, right?
Yeah.
So when you left that cup beside the dishwasher, instead of putting it in the dishwasher, here's the story that I make up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like everything is about the story, because if I can talk from that perspective, it prevents me from saying, oh, you're lazy, and starting an argument. Here's a story.
And then, and deeper than that. So like I said earlier, the storyline is just the story. The juice is the feeling that you're feeling in the moment the story is playing out. So do we have the awareness to observe the story, but stay with the feeling? Don't attach to the story. Go one step deeper to the feeling that is being experienced right now, even with what's going on with, and we're all observing it different in our beautiful color wheel. We are all having our own unique perspective of what we're seeing. So the story I'm telling myself is, and then why that story? Because it's probably tied to your feeling of an experience that you would have observed somewhere else, or you would have seen in your known reality of what you would have experienced in your past. But guess what? This is the most exciting part of all, because what's coming is in the unknown. And just as easily as you can go to past trauma and fear of what's coming, let's capture the freaking excitement that's coming. This could be, our world is going through a whole exciting, oh my gosh, and the light and all the wonderful things that I could just see that is coming into our reality. Just as easily I could go to the dark place. And I have no clue what's coming.
That meaning piece that you know, you're talking about the light place and the dark place, Suzanne, and when we are doing the meaning piece, like you say that you left the glass on the counter,
Mhm.
Yeah.
to consciously choose a positive meaning. So
Mm.
we talk a lot about this because I do, you know, angel sessions or readings with people. It comes up a lot, right? Are we looking for the signs? Well, yeah, I saw a sign, but I thought that probably meant don't do that, or that wasn't good, right? Okay, wait, we have to give the meaning that is the most empowering meaning, right?
Mm.
And so we know that, you know, I love the conversation about signs from the universe, right? Because it's like, if it excites you, it's for you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like that's it, right? You know,
But-
should I go to Hawaii or should I go to Mexico? I really want to go to Hawaii. I
Yeah.
saw a Mexican guy. I guess I got to go to Mexico. No,
Wow,
go
yeah.
to Hawaii. You want to go.
I ate tacos. I should go to Mexico.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
right? But the meaning, like, I love that. Like, could you pause for a moment and give that, like, can we use your glass on the counter, Christina, as just another meaning? Like,
Yeah.
whatever it could be, can shift your energy. Give it a positive meaning, and then get out of that person's business. That's really a huge piece, is that we are just spending so much time
Mhm.
in each other's business, right?
And
Well,
yeah,
and I think especially right now with a lot of people in really close quarters, I think this is not necessarily an easy time for many people. And I think there's something like, I always think, assume goodwill. Like, I assume goodwill first.
Assume goodwill. I love
Assume
it.
goodwill,
Yeah.
right? Like, assume
Yeah.
that they're doing the best they could, and maybe they just weren't considering you in that moment. Like that, you know, just assume goodwill. But I think the big piece here is our minds want to cling to our stories.
Absolutely. Oh,
Right?
yes, they do.
And
And
I
they
think,
will,
go ahead.
I was going to say they'll find proof, right? So
course, gather evidence.
it's an obedient servant. It goes out for proof. It goes out for proof. It goes out for proof. So whatever we're believing, whatever our story is running, our mind so obediently goes to find, oh, look, this and this and this and this. Oh, look at it all, right? Give it a new job, right? A new story, and it will go and find proof of that.
Find evidence.
Every time, every single
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
it's just a made up reality in lots of it.
Yes.
You know, we're just absolutely going out and finding something to collaborate what we believe. So
the mere-
choosing your beliefs are important, right?
Yeah. And the mere fact that, I'll tell everybody right now, how do you know you created your reality? Because you're here in it. So you can attend a new reality at any moment. Your thoughts create your reality only 100% of the time. I keep saying that. So you can set the intention of that, of what you're seeking, and let the universe take care of the details. And you have in the back of the brain what's called the reticular activating system. And that particular reticular activating system, it looks for evidence to support your known reality, and it will only support and find evidence that supports what you believe. So I'll give everybody some homework here. I want you to look and put a red car in your intention now, and you look tomorrow, you're going to see red cars everywhere, because you've brought that into the reticular activating system. And it is only supporting what you believe in, exactly what you both said. It's going to, universe will be gathering data and evidence to support what you intend, whichever way you intend it. The world doesn't work out for me, or the world does work out for me. There is no meaning to anything. It's only the meaning we give it.
Yeah, powerful.
But I think that's part of, when we think about our brains clinging to our stories, I think many of us are so afraid to step into the unknown and to step into, and I think that, you know, what I know on a quantum physics level, on a spiritual level, is the unknown is where the magic happens. Because when I'm in the known, all I'm doing is replaying my past. I'm putting my past in front of me. So if I want to keep having the same kind of life, I just keep making a predictable future. So those of us who really right now need to control, to know. First of all, I get it, right? We are naturally hardwired in terms of self-preservation to want to make sure that we know and that we can control things. And the more anxiety goes up, the more our stress goes up, the more we want to do that. So first of all, no judgment, only love and gentleness. And what I want you to know is that if you have a life like this and you create one that's only this big because you have taken away any variables that are outside of your comfort zone, then this is the size of the life you're going to have. And you're only going to be recreating, like you're going to keep doing the past experience. You're not opening up to anything brand new.
Yeah. So important for people. And the thing is, why not intend a great life? You don't have to know the how. That's what I'm learning. And when you're talking about, I know what it's like to step in the unknown because I've done it. And it is freaking scary as hell. Especially when you've come from a childhood where unknown meant fear and meant difficulty.
Yeah.
And there was an equal sign there. And so, to transcend and step through the fear, because fear is only false evidence appearing real. And through, everybody has to go through this journey. And on the other side of all of your freaking dreams and everything you can imagine, the universe wants to give it to you, I assure you. And there's too many examples in our universe where people have done it. And if one other human being has done it, you know you can. That's the thing. Now, if no other human being has done it, then you can say, oh, well, no, it can't do it. 4-minute mile. Do you remember when they said way back, when Roger Bannister, before the 4-minute mile was run, all the medical profession, everybody says no human could run a mile under 4 minutes. Well, guess what? He breaks through the veil, and then hundreds of people have done it. Thousands of people now. It's just breaking through a threshold of an illusion. And the more of us that do it, we get to set the footprints for others to walk in their divine truth and know that it's doable and we can make this happen. Yeah.
I think it's really wonderful to tune into, if I may, you know, just to really ask ourselves, what is it that we want? You know, what experience do we want today? Just today. You know, how would I like to live my today, to have my today? How do I want to feel today? You know, at the very beginning of the day, if I'm asking that question and I'm setting that intention, and I ask for grace to take me through it. And I definitely do my most benevolent outcome prayer. I say that, and I encourage all of you, please use it. It's a miracle maker. It truly is, because it completely can shift you know, where you're headed, right? So as we set that intention, we ask, what do we want? Because we're all creators. We're all creating right now. And we all created this together today. We all we called each other in, every one of us. So we created this. And so when we're kind of check into the back of your mind, what you've been giving your attention to, what you've been asking for, what, you know, if you're asking for an improved experience, that is on its way, right? We either within the next 5 minutes or the day or whenever. And as we ask for it, then we're just really, again, here comes that beautiful grace word, given the grace to move into it, right? And to release resistance. Just release resistance. Allow yourself to have a beautiful day. Or whatever it is. You know, sometimes it's healing we're looking for a better conversation in a relationship. You know, I often, one of the powerful things that you can do around conversation when we need to have one of those difficult conversations is to ask spirit, ask your angels, ask love to prepare yourself and the other person for the conversation. Prepare me for that conversation. Prepare him or her for that conversation. So we're setting, again, intention for what we want. So that's really powerful every day, all the time. And don't even worry, I didn't do it this morning. Do it now. Set the intention now for how you want the rest to go. And the affirmation, everything is working out for me. It is. It absolutely is. And when we affirm it, my mother-in-law, she's as cute as a button. She's like 93. And she's in a home now, and so things are looking a little different for her. But when she would visit, she'd always say, everything's going my way. Everything's just flowing. We just loved it. Hey?
Mm.
And
And
so,
yeah, it's wonderful.
and then it does. It does.
Yeah.
It's it's the casting a spell. That was my friend Jackie shared that with me. I just love it, right? That we spell words, right? And it's spelling. We're casting spells, like you said, with your language or with your writing or with your wish list or your conversation. We're casting spells. So they're important, what we say, what we intend. Be conscious of it and do it for your own good, like for yourself. Like, quite honestly, it is the selfish piece that's like, I want to feel good. So,
and it isn't even selfish though, because what is in the highest, I want to say
yes,
that
no, it's true.
and we do use that language, and thank you for saying that, because it gives an opportunity. There is nothing selfish about choosing love for you. What is in the highest good for one is in the highest good for all. And that language there, we're taught that when we care for self, it's selfish. That's an illusion.
Yeah,
that is absolutely an illusion. Yes, it is. And the energy, and back to what we said at the very beginning of the call, this universe is made up of frequency, energy, and vibration, light and sound. The foundation of everything that comes into matter. It shows up in many different forms, but the essence of it is that. And in the morning, by setting the intention through energy, and when you do it could be the Ho'oponopono prayer with another, or getting ready for a meeting, you are changing the vibration of how it's going to go. And back to what you said is, Colette, in the morning, I wake up and I say, how can I be the most highest expression of myself today? And then I look for the evidence to support it.
Yay. That's awesome. I love that.
Maybe someone could type that in so we can all remember.
Yeah, maybe you can
That's
type that in.
beautiful.
Okay, up to everybody. Okay, I'll type it in. Not just those.
Do it, Susan.
You've been asked to explain the prayer, the most benevolent outcome prayer.
Right. So, I really believe this is what shifts dimensions and realities, and then what creates miracles, is because we're asking, because so first we're talking about tuning into our desires, right? I want to have an experience that is a great today, right? But I can't go out and control everything, nor do I even want to. Oh my gosh, right? How exhausting would that be? But as I say this prayer, we're requesting, I believe it's Tom Moore in his work originally taught this. So I'm requesting from the angels a most benevolent outcome. So what I'm saying is, I want this to turn out for the greatest good for me and the greatest good for everybody else. And I cannot know what everybody else's deal is. I don't know that. But I'm setting my intention and I'm asking for that. So the request is important, because that every question that we ask, every request we make is summons an answer, right? You have a problem and you ask for a solution to your problem. It's the asking that summons it. So when we request it, we're saying, I'm going to step out of the way and I'm just going to let love have its way with this. I'm going to let the angels, source, God, the highest alignment, the highest order, let's say, to come in to play this out. I'm telling you, it works every single time, like every single time, in ways that you just couldn't have guessed or imagined that it would. And I am really believing now that this is the stuff that miracles are made of, because as we are creators, and we can create experiences throughout the day. And, I think did we talk about this the last time, where we were talking about requesting parking spots, right? That we can do those requests, that's the one simple thing that we can do, and have something show up when we're there. How is that happening, right? When another person is not having that experience. We've asked, we've requested, we set the intention, and all matter of things start to sort out. So again, now you're suspending your belief system somewhat, you're handing it up, you're letting it go, and the universe orders for you.
So, Colette, would you say it's easier for you to step into that unknown space when you realize that you're not alone, energetically, spiritually? Does that support you in that unknown space?
Yes, I really have to think about that, if I've ever felt like I was really alone. I don't think I ever have, but I was raised to, believe there's something more there, right? But certainly I have felt alone. I felt really scared, all of those things, but it's never been true, right? It's never been true.
Yeah.
I've always been supported. And even when I'm at my depths of despair, I want to preface that everybody's depths of despair is different, and there's no measuring, right? You've been deeply, had childhood traumas like crazy and abuses, or, you didn't, but you just can't sort through your fears. They're all just as important, right? All of those things are just as important, right? We're all held. We're all, source, God, love wants us all to feel good, right? We're here to move through those things. Nothing's higher or lesser. But when I've been in those places, I had an experience one time, and I didn't know I was going to share this. I'm going to share it. And I was just feeling so sick. And I had been in bed all day long, and it was just not going away. I was throwing up. I was just ugly. Anyway, I'd made myself to the bathroom, and there I was on the bathroom floor. And I had been just praying and praying and praying, like, help me. When is this going to go away? It won't leave, right? And, it was that place where I just kind of like, what is going on here? Like, come on, I've asked, And this thought came, people might call it a voice or whatever. This thought came, what is it that you want? What do you want God to do? What do you want God to do? Well, I just sat in that. What do I want God to do? I want God to surround me, to love me, to tell me it's okay, to hold me. And then the next thought, just as quick, was, can you do that for yourself?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I did. I literally, you know what I did? I just started to stroke my arm, and I love you. I love you. And I did that. I'm telling you guys, 30 seconds, my stomach settled. I still had a headache, but I was able to get up off the floor. 60 seconds. I headed to bed. I continued the treatment. That's all I did. That is all I did. And it shifted.
Love.
Yeah. And that we are, right? It's running through us. It's channeling through us. It is us. We are God expressed. Right?
It is us.
We are the unique expressions of the divine.
Yeah.
We're not separate. And what better way than to self-love? And that has to start there.
And I used to think that was so, people say, oh, hug yourself. And it's like, oh, it's real. It's a real deal, right? And you just hold it, and just, if you could stroke yourself, that is just so soothing.
Yeah. And I want to just get everybody on the call that us three are surrounding you all and stroking you, honestly, and hugging you all, and to feel the essence that you are all loved. And there is no separation here. None.
No.
It is all one, unique expressions of the same thing. Divinely loved.
Divinely
measure.
Divinely loved. And we're just coming into like the last 5 minutes pretty much tonight already. We did an hour last time. We did an hour and a half this time. I feel like we could keep talking. Just, like, look at us go. And so I think it would be great for, each of us to take a moment. So I'll start in, I believe that, there's lots of posts around, what the new normal is going to be, or when things come back to normal. And we're at the most, I want to use the word delicious again, but there's this like a wonderful experience in space right now that I know I'm cultivating and really thinking about what is most important to me. Where are the places in which I'm still withholding love for myself and for others? This is really giving me the opportunity to step into more of that love space than ever before. And what I believe is that as each one of us, because like we said, we're not in separation, each one of us steps into loving ourselves more, I do believe we're going to shift how we relate to each other. Right? So if we can stop seeing each other from a separate lens and judging other people, really getting to a place of like, I believe that we're going to shift. We're going to find solutions to things on this planet. We will just look at it in such a different way, but because we're looking at it through the lens of love. So, you know, if you are finding yourself in a position where you're not having feelings of love all the time, I really want you to know that's okay. You need to metabolize, you need to digest, you need to move through that in order to get to another place. The only way through is through. And so loving yourself is loving yourself through those more difficult experiences right now. You know, I do have some clients who I'm finding that, you know, they don't want to feel the sad. They're just like, I just want to go to this place where this is all great. And I really want to encourage people. This is not about a spiritual leapfrog. You need to lead in to all of the pieces. That is what love would do, right? Love would not see somebody struggling on the sidewalk and tell them to just pull up their bootstraps and get over it and feel better, right? Love would go and love that person. And we need to be doing that with ourselves as we go through each and every moment and staying in the present moment and loving ourselves the best that we can.
Thank you, Christina. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So what message or a piece of encouragement or whatever would you want to provide people with, Colette?
Oh my goodness. You know, I from my own personal experience, stay in today, stay in today, and just live your best today, because this really is unfolding, and your life is unfolding, but it's happening now, right? It's today. You're living it. This is the whole enchilada. And when our mind goes off into how that's going to be, you know, that is for sure, like we've said all through this call, that's just a story. Today is amazing. I just, again, gratitude, right? We were at the lake on the weekend, a couple of days, and, you know, I was thankful for my porta potty. You know? I was thankful for that. And toilet paper that I had. And, you know, because I was there in the moment and I wasn't kind of busy in my life, which I think this has afforded us, right? Everybody's got some space. Even those of you who are going to work every day, you know, you still have to come home. You know, you're not going to restaurants and you're not going to the movies and not doing these things. We're still coming home. We're spending more time, just quieter. And, you know, just take that time and be in this moment and enjoy it and be grateful. Just look around. It changes you. It truly, truly does. And we start to see the blessings unfold more and more and more in our lives. So this 24 hours.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome.
Susan?
I would say, I mean, I thought some beautiful sharings happened through this conversation today that even I'm going to take away. So thank you guys immensely for that. And the transition right now is going from human doings to human beings.
Absolutely.
And in the moment, that's the grace of the present moment. Because it is an opportunity to go within, to come home to the truth of who you are and to exist there. And as Colette said, to do it just every 24 hours. And I would go too far as say just every moment.
Every moment, yeah.
It's a moment by moment process. And when you take care of the inner world, the outer world will take care of itself. All of your dreams are waiting for you in such a profound way, and that we are all magnificent beings of light. End of story. And we just have to embody those parts of us to take us and go through the hump of the ego, which would have us believe we're separate, and we become masters of limitations. And now let's move to the magnificent being of light through the spirit of that of which we truly are. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you guys so very much for being on tonight. I mean, sharing your heart, sharing your love, and really all of the people in attendance. I really felt their presence, even though
Yeah, me
I
too.
couldn't see them this time. And thank you, all of you, for interacting and for sending your questions. If you have anything you want to add, or questions or feedback, please reach out to us. I will send you an email tomorrow so that you have the email link, and make sure that we answer those questions for you.
Yeah.
See it.
And this, yeah, just holding love right here, right now, just with everybody. If people haven't exited the call just before we wrap up, just that you are divinely loved, and you are love. You are divine love. That's it. And it never leaves you. It never leaves us. And so that we have a wonderful week ahead, and you see your magnificence every day. That is my intention for all of you.
Thank you, Susan. You know, one of the things that I'm hoping from this conversation and from other conversations that we'll have is that we help you to remember who you really are, the parts of you that you have forgotten. So I know that many of you tonight were on this call because it resonated with you. And that's because you already know all of this. And you've just chosen us to come together to help to support you to remember. So great job in creating this experience for yourself. So thank you again.
That's beautiful.
And we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye for now.